How's it going, friends? It is true, we have gone to the dark side, but for good reason. So let's walk through it. All right, so as a lot of you know, the proponent of how I kind of do a lot of my work is to get the biggest bang for the buck. And for a while, that is definitely sufficient until the gear starts to limit you, right? So my initial purchase about 5 years ago, was this Asus ROG kind of like gaming laptop to service me at the time. I wasn't taking on a ton of work, but I was doing a lot of mostly photo editing and the odd video or corporate video here and there. So it was fine. It was sufficient. However, what I started to run into as the days got busier and busier and the workload got heavier and heavier was that I was very quickly reaching the limitations of the laptop. Not that it wasn't manageable, but it was definitely starting to hinder my efficiency. The reason why I was able to make it work was I understood the limitations of the laptop. So I knew where it was going to struggle, especially when it came to motion graphics and 4K footage. But before, I was just using a Canon 80D at the time. We were just running 1080 footage. We were just peeling through the stuff. But as I updated my other gear, like my camera, now shooting with Sony's, most of my workflow is in 4K. So the laptop was having a super hard time turning stuff over. And in the world of sports, which I work in for a predominant portion of my clients, is you're turning stuff over within minutes, if not hours, or at the very least same day. So having like a 60-second hype sizzle or like our team walk-ins take, sometimes 5, 10, 15 minutes to render out when I could already be back shooting something else. It was, as we call it, a pain point for my first season, especially with the PWHL. And it was not sustainable. So the efficiency, number one, is why we switched over to the MacBook Pro. And that essentially leads us into point number 2, future-proofing. I pretty much knew that Asus was going to be obsolete very, very quickly. I was hoping, I had fingers crossed that it was going to be able to last me a pretty decent amount of time, which it did, quote, in that 4 or 5 years, but it's tapped. So being able to have something that now, with just the, from the M3 Max chip to the RAM to all the extra bells and whistles that kind of come when you upgrade to a MacBook Pro, which I know because I've had them before, will make this last a lot longer than my Asus. Not to say that Asus doesn't have great products. I'm just talking about the specific one that I had. This will definitely be able to last me a decent amount of time, help me make awesome work, and gets me pretty excited, if I'm being honest. And most importantly, creativity. The limitations of my older laptop kind of hindered what I could do because it was maxed out. So the ideas that I had that I wanted to execute, I just kind of had to do like a B version of a lot of those ideas just because I knew the laptop just couldn't handle it. So, and that's kind of tough to deal with when your gear is limiting your ability to really execute what you kind of have in your mind, right? So being able to have something now that I'm confident will be able to handle a lot of the tasks and the ideas kind of like floating around in my head gives me an even bigger boost to kind of think of bigger ideas to be able to shoot, to create on, especially on the editing side of things, what we can do with what I can do with motion graphics, different transitions, just being able to elevate a lot of the footage and a lot of the games and a lot of the events that I shoot, now knowing that I have something that can actually handle it. It's a game changer. I'm not gonna lie to you. It is definitely a game changer. By no means am I saying that a MacBook is the only laptop that you should get, because I know there are fantastic laptops out there. There's the MacBook Pro, you've got ZenBooks, there's a ton. There is a ton. This was just the best choice for me. So keep that in mind. So the next time you're thinking, whether it's a camera, whether it's a laptop, any type of gear that you're looking into, are you future-proofing yourself? Is the gear that you already have hindering your creativity because it can't handle the things that you actually want to do? And thirdly, is it gonna help you work faster? Is it going to speed up your efficiency in your workflow? If it checks those boxes, then it's probably something that you should either buy or work towards in the future. I hope that helps. I am going to get to work here, but happy creating, and we'll see you next time.